I'm going to tell you about our Cape York freighter cruise and adventure on the Trinity Bay. Trinity Bay was built in South Korea back in the 90s. It's 81 metres long, 3,200 tonne. It's got a depth of 5.7 metres. Takes 48 passengers in 15 cabins. It travels from Cairns to Thursday Island and Horn Island and Sacy at Bamaga Wharf, and then it comes back to Cairns. It's a cargo freighter. It carries cargo to all the tiny little places on the way up from Cairns, all the way up to Thursday Island and back via Bamaga Wharf. There are a lot of places that you can't get to by ship, so the ship actually is a self-loading freighter. Oh, here we are. We're loading ourselves on board the freighter at the moment, so we all have to wear these particular high-vis vests because we're actually on a working wharf, and we're getting ourselves on board our freighter. Yeah, so it's a self-loading freighter, has its own crane, as you can see, and as we come up to these tiny little bays that we can't come into, they have Sea Swift, who's a company that runs this, have barges that run from the different wharves, and we load onto the barges. It's a bulk, well, not a bulk freighter so much. It's a freighter that carries everything. As you can see there, tires and bits of steel and basically everything. Now on board, I'm also teaching a little bit of coastal navigation. You can see here we've got a chart of the tip of Cape York and Thursday Island and the Torres Strait. And here's one of my students, Tony. He's doing horizontal sextant angles. We don't use sextants much, but yeah, this is a good opportunity to use it. And Tony's learning to do how a transfer position line so that he can do a running fix, I should say. Something that you have to learn when you're doing coastal navigation and you've only got one particular object that you can zoom in on. Here on Thursday Island, we're at the museum, and there's a pearling lugger, copy of a pearling lugger. Thursday Island, mainly made up of Torres Strait Islanders, and this is one of their dugout canoes and some shells that they've picked up. And this is a pearl diver's suit. No real pearl diver would be able to tie knots like that. They're pretty horrible looking knots. So this is our ship actually. Now we're at Bamaga Wharf, and from here you can take a little bus trip to the top of Cape York and walk to the very, very tip of Cape York. I didn't bother. I stayed on board. Caught myself a shark, which was too big to pull on board, and nobody on the wharf wanted it. We're about to leave. We will leave once the tide comes up and we can float again. We were stuck on the bottom there for quite a while, but then the boat's a flat bottom boat, so ship I should say, but now there was a slight opportunity for romance on board, but with only 48 passengers, but I didn't bother though, I was too busy. So that was the cruise, and I can thoroughly recommend it. The food was absolutely fabulous. In fact, the food was so good that a lot of the small ships that came out to take stuff off us, they would always make sure that they arrived at lunchtime so that they could jump on board and have a feed as well.